I hope that in this year to come you make mistakes. Because if you are making mistakes, then you are making new things, trying new things, learning, living, pushing yourself, changing your world. You're doing things you've never done before, and more importantly, you're doing something. So that's my wish for you, and all of us, and my wish for myself. Make new mistakes. Make glorious, amazing mistakes. Make mistakes nobody's ever made before. Don't freeze, don't stop, don't worry that it isn't good enough or it isn't perfect, whatever it is. Art, or love, or work, or family, or life. Whatever it is you're scared of doing, do it. Make your mistakes. Next year and forever. One day, the shadows will surround me. Someday, the days will come to end. Sometime, I'll have to face the real me. Somehow, I'll have to learn to bend. And now I see clearly. All these times I simply stepped aside. I watched but never really listened as the whole world passed me by. All this time I watched from the outside, never understood what was wrong or what was right. I apologize. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. One day I'll face the hell inside me. Someday I'll accept what I've done. Sometime I'll leave the past behind me. For now I accept who I've become. Now I see clearly. All these times I simply stepped aside. I watched but never really listened as the whole world passed me by. All this time I watched from the outside, never understood what was wrong or what was right. I apologize. One day, the shadows will surround me. All these times I simply stepped aside. I watched but never really listened as the whole world passed me by. All this time I watched from the outside, never understood what was wrong or what was right. I apologize. Whoa, whoa, whoa. apologize. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I apologize. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I apologize. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I apologize. Often, I believe the thing that scares us most about making mistakes is that we might hurt someone. Maybe ourselves, or worse, someone we care about very deeply. It paralyzes us with that feeling of, what if? This is a different world, though, from the world in which Neil Gaiman made his New Year's wish. For the past 2 years, everything we have done, if we've done anything at all, has carried some risk of mistake, maybe even a deadly one. It's not just art or love, not just work or family or other major life decisions. It's every little thing. And it would be so easy, especially as we once again sit in our all separate spaces for Sunday worship, to spiral into thoughts of how sad and scary and paralyzing that is. Should we have done something differently? Should we be doing something differently now? Did we make mistakes? What are the consequences? Consequence is such a loaded word. It comes with a sense of negativity. When we think of consequences, we often think of the very negative ones. The punishments, the losses, the hurt. But consequence is just a result. It's the effect, whatever the cause may be. It doesn't have to be negative. It doesn't have to be positive. It could be both or neither. We're at an interesting crossroads here at the beginning of 2022. It's time to make your resolutions, to decide how your year will go without any of the necessary information to make an accurate prediction. A big ask in any year, but this year? Does the fact that we've lived with life or death decisions every time we walked out the front door, sometimes within the walls of our own homes, paralyze us further? Do the higher stakes for making mistakes make it harder? Or do we take advantage of this feeling? Do we recognize that we've all been having a collective near-death experience and choose that level of resilience we may have thought was reserved for the movies, for inspiring tales, for someone else? We've lived for 2 years knowing that the answer to the question, what's the worst that could happen, has been death, suffering. So what do we do with those times when that is not the answer? If the worst that could happen is no one liked that thing we did, can we be okay with that? If the worst that could happen is a different result than we intended, can we be okay with that? If the worst that could happen is rejection, if the worst that could happen is failure, can we be okay with that? There have been a number of times that I, along with many others, have said something along the lines of, if we take nothing else away from this pandemic, I hope it's this. Early on, I'd hoped that this would be a willingness to sacrifice for the good of others. I'm not sure we're taking that away from this experience, or if we ever truly collectively had it. When I started working in person again, I'd hoped that this would be using sick time when you're sick and not feeling pressured to work through illness, really resting. And I'm not sure we're taking that away from this experience, or if we ever truly had it. I could go on. but each one ends very much the same. I think that's why we find ourselves in this situation again, where you can see me, but I can't see you. But I don't want to give up on that hope. So I'm going to say it again here at the beginning of the new year. If we take nothing else away from this pandemic, I hope it's a willingness to take risks for the things and people we care about. I hope we will make sacrifices to show people that we love them. I hope we will give up our immediate gratification in pursuit of a better world for all of us. I hope we will create new and beautiful things, not just because we have to, but because we can, and it brings us joy. I hope we will pursue new skills and experiences, as well as ones from our past that we thought we couldn't have anymore, but that we still need. If we take nothing else away from this pandemic, I hope it's a willingness to make mistakes in pursuit of something good, wonderful, beautiful. I hope we will face down rejection and fear of failure and the other demons that haunt our decisions and tell them that they have no power over us. I put off my wedding for 2.5 years. This mistake can't take anything from me. I missed the first months, years even, of this grandchild's life. This mistake is nothing. I have hurt so deeply over these past few years. I acknowledge this pain, but I know that I will be more than okay. I will be incredible. So let's do this. Here in 2022, let's make mistakes and choose our own hurt, along with our own triumph.
Everything breaks down eventually. It's all just a matter of entropy. Thermodynamics and gravity. We're all gonna fall in the end. When you play the record, the needle gets dull. It's tragically irreversible. You know some erosion's inevitable when you rub up against the world. You're locked in a box, try to hold your breath, conserve what remains of the air that's left. If you don't breathe, you'll smother yourself, but every inhale brings you closer to death. Everything breaks down eventually. We're all decomposing gradually into atoms and cells and vanity. All our constituent parts. You can't make sparks without friction, or music, or love, or non-fiction. That's just the price of admission. You can't ride the ride without wearing it out. Still locked in a box, try to hold your breath, conserve what remains of the air that's left. If you don't breathe, you'll smother yourself, but every inhale brings you closer to death. Chaos is gonna win in the end. The universe is flying apart. There ain't much you can do about it. Burn up the candle or live in the dark. Burn up the candle or live in the dark. Burn up the candle or live in the dark. Burn up the candle or live in the dark.
It's no mistake to say that we care very deeply about other people in our community. It's the reason we meet here virtually in our separate spaces again for worship this morning. And it's the reason we give of ourselves, our time, our effort, our commitment, our souls, our spirits, and of our excess financial resources. We can't pass a basket around here virtually, but I encourage you to continue to keep up on your pledge checks and maybe send in a little extra if you're able. But if this is your first time here with us today, if you're a guest here, I hope you'll take this YouTube worship service as our gift to you. Thank you so much for being here. Our words of benediction this morning come from Deb Cannon. I have made mistakes, and some I have even learned from. I am wiser today than I was yesterday, and hopefully tomorrow I will be even better informed. May I speak from my learning and not from my habit. If I speak from my habit, may I interrupt my words to start again. If I don't know, may I be silent and listen.
We join hands in Unitarian, Universalist fellowship, pledging ourselves to an individual religious freedom which transcends all creeds, not to live alike, but to journey together.
Burn up the candle or live in the dark. As we extinguish our chalice this morning, I hope you will join me in letting this light continue to burn within you. Whatever mistake you might make within its light, it'll be better than living in the dark.